Hi, this is Mohammed Al-Zubaidy, and I will be discussing my post-mortem of my final project for Tcom410. Just want to give a congratulations to the entire group. We did it. For myself, it took 2.5 years to complete this program. It's been very helpful in my career. I work as a senior technical writer for TD Bank, and I've learned a lot of very important lessons and tips over the past 2.5 years. So really enjoyed this program. So let's get down to it. What I wrote about was I took an excerpt from a system user manual which I created at my previous role. Was working for Health Canada and Indigenous Services Canada to be more specific, and I designed a system user manual for a new software system, which was exclusively designed to be used by the Indigenous community for medical and pharmaceutical needs, and other health uh, reasons. So, for example, to order prescription drugs, or to schedule an eye exam, or to fill out an insurance claim for any of those medical services. Uh, the Indigenous community would have their own exclusive pricing, which was applied in this system. Uh, it's The name of the system is the Health Information Claims Processing System, or HICCUPS for short. And I took a chapter, which was the item management chapter from the user manual. And the reason why I chose this chapter was because it was one of the more common chapters that was used and also applied in other topics, or in other disciplines throughout Health Canada, and other departments. So, just to give you a bit of a background, I worked for the medical supplies and equipment team, and every department, so there's pharmacy, there's dental, there was vision and mental health. I was medical supplies and equipment, and each department would have their own system user manual. So since I was on MSc for short, medical supplies and equipment, I wrote the system user manual for that team. But item management was one of the more common ones that could be applied to the other teams. So that's why I specifically chose this chapter to focus on for my final project. Of course, I had made sure to get clearance by my supervisor to submit this final project. So since it's public content, public information, there is no issues with like confidential information, or having to sign a non-disclosure. So what went well for me in this project was that I was able to pinpoint the chapter that I wanted to write about. I had access to the software tools that I needed to complete this chapter. So I had used Adobe FrameMaker for writing the content, and I had used Snagit for capturing screenshots, as well as Snagit Editor for refining or modifying the screenshots. And what I also liked was that I was able to um, write about a topic which, for myself, uh, I find to be very helpful because, like I had stated, I'm writing for the Indigenous community. So for me, the seeing that my content or my documentation was going to be applied for a better cause or better purpose, for me, that's was an added incentive. in terms of the writing portion, um, no real hiccups, no obstacles. What I did like was that in one of the rounds of feedback that I received from Adriana, she had asked me to ensure that I provide callouts to the screenshot. So when I provided a screenshot of, let's say, one of the one of one of the procedural screens, instead of just listing out the different tabs and having the tables underneath, which would describe what each field represented. She asked me, or she suggested that I place a call out on the image and on the field, and then place the supporting call out on the table. So you would know, for example, A would be item search, and I would have an arrow pointing to it. And then right underneath in the table, I would have the call out referenced again next to the row describing the field. So it was more a visual illustration for the reader. Another thing was that Adriana had um, she had suggested that I always start a task or start a numbered instruction with a verb. So that was something that I didn't really notice throughout the document. So always starting with a verb. So, for example, click the item search screen, whereas I would have written what the item search screen was, and then I would uh, follow it up with click the item search screen. So she reminded me that I should start the sentence off with a verb describing an action in a numbered list. So that was something useful that I really liked. Another thing that I enjoyed was being able to review the different chapters in the modules, or reviewing the content in the modules and applying it to to my uh, to my project. So, for example, um, the part about researching and interviewing the SMEs, although I had initially done that while I was writing the documentation prior to taking this course, just going back and reviewing the section on researching and interviewing SMEs, as well as with the optional readings, it uh, allowed me to look at the interviewing process from another perspective. And then when I went back to interview the SMEs with these new tips that I had taken from the notes, I found that I was able to get even more information from the subject matter expert um, than what I had originally had gotten from them. So that was really helpful. So that part I enjoyed. Um, there were a couple of small challenges. Like I said, it was part of this chapter was part of a greater procedure or a greater manual. So just being able to extract the right amount of content to make it fit in the page limit that we had for this final project. So even for this one chapter that I uh, decided to document or to include in the final project, I had to condense it to, I believe it was 20 to 25 pages, to make sure that it was that it would fit the page requirements stated for this final project. So that was one issue, just trying to decide what to include and what to take out. And based on that, I had to fix some of the hyperlinks to make sure that it applied specifically to the condensed content. So I did have to take out a few screens, a couple of a couple of field description tables. So just more of the, I would say, the supporting content. I had to take that out, and based on that, that kind of affected my hyperlinks. So I had to, there was a lot of manual work that needed to be done to make sure that the links were pointing to the right destination. So that was one minor uh, thing that came up, nothing too drastic or severe. So uh, to summarize, it's yeah, like I said, it's been a great experience. Really enjoyed the the opportunity to complete this entire project, entire technical communications certificate, and I wish everyone the best, uh, and good luck going forward in your respective careers. Bye bye.